In this video, I'm going to show you how to install the 70 to 72 egg crate louver panel, which will also accept the 68, 69 louvers. And the first thing you need to do is right up here, make sure your body line is marked off. This has to be straight. Make sure it's right along the body line, because if it's not, it's going to be crooked when you put it in. The next thing you need to do is mark right here on the edge of your panel, 1 inch, pretty much in the middle here. So just go in the middle. It doesn't need to be perfect, so you don't have to sit here and measure all day for it. And here's your template. Put your tape on here before you do this, because it makes it a lot easier. Alright, up here, let me show you this here. Up here, from here to here, and from here to here, that's 3/4 inch. So mark 3/4 inch, and on this one, don't do it this way. Make sure you go straight up and down like that. Alright, once you do that, line it up along here, or your little dot here for 1 inch, and up here. This corner and this dot right here. And then you can move up this corner over here on the left. And then you're going to cover your dot a little bit if it's not straight. Just make sure it's all lined up. That's lined up. Both tops are lined up, and that's lined up. Once you do that, just go ahead and taper down. And then mark it off. That's all you need to do for that. Okay, here it is. It's all drawn out. It's traced out. And I went ahead and marked right here. There's a bond underneath this. So what I'm going to do is cut on either side here. And there's actually a bond here. You can hear it. Hear that? The difference? And there's one right here as well. That's how you can tell where it is. I'm actually going to cut right along here. I'm going to cut right along there, and pretty much right along the line here. Just remember to cut inside the lines, not on the outside, because you'd rather trim it back than have to fill it in. And also, when you cut it, that's about 1/8 of an inch. This is the thickness. This is a piece of panel here. That's about 1/8 of an inch, or 3 millimeters. So you don't want to cut any deeper than that. Up here, you don't have anything. It's just all. And down here, you don't have anything. But when you're cutting in here, and you're cutting in here, just make sure you don't cut too deep. Just enough to cut through. That's all you need to do. And I'm just going to cut on either side here, and because these are bonded here and here, so I'm either going to try and get them out with a screwdriver. And if they don't come out easily, then you need to take a heat gun to it. So we're going to see how it goes. After 40 some odd years, it's kind of brittle. So it should come out pretty easy. There you go. Alright, just want to show you where we're at here. I went ahead and ground all this down. Just made it flush with this and smooth back here, just so your panel will fit in there. And I cut this back about 1.5 inches and cut up in there, did a plunge cut right up in there, so now that'll fit. And also back here, you're going to need to do this back here as well. You got to get in there as best as you can. As you can see here, this corner, couldn't save the corner, it was too brittle, so I just went ahead and took it out. That's probably going to be the case, in your case. So just go ahead and take it out if it's too brittle. And just get back here as best as you can with your grinder, and then you may need to take your rotary tool and get in there and just grind it up as best as possible, because you're going to have bonding agent, or bonding adhesive, all the way in here. So you got to get that out, because you want it to be as flush as possible when you put in your bonding strip. Now your bonding strip, you're going to need to cut in half this way and take out that end right there, because it's just not going to fit any other way. And what you want to do is put it in like this. Now this is already trimmed. I've already trimmed this. I've trimmed it out here and here because it's not going to fit. It's not going to fit your panel if you don't do that. And also there. So about 1/4 to 3/8 of an inch is what you're going to have. If you can get more, fine. Just the more surface area you have to bond to, the better. But 1/4 inch or 3/8 is fine. That's basically what it's going to look like when you're done. And I trimmed here and here, because you got back here, you've got this, you got to clear this, and you have to clear this right here. So, and that's not in there all the way. Yeah, see, it'll fit just like that once it's in there. And also I took the end here that we cut out, and you just fit right there. You're going to need to trim this a little bit just for clearance, and you're just going to bond that in right there. And you can, like, I ground this down a little bit here just to make sure it was flush, because you don't want it sticking out too far. And that's pretty much how that goes in. Now, you're going to need to fit your panel. And here's how you do that. From here up, 1 inch, 1 1/8 inch. From here up, 1 1/8 inch. Alright, and then you draw your line across here, and here's your body line. You just need to line it up with your body line. Just like that. And then, of course, trim the edges, top and bottom and edges. Here to here, 2 inches. So when you trim it, you want to make sure this is 2 inches, roughly 2 inches, right around, plus or minus a little bit. It's fine. But you want to make sure this is level, which is, this is how you do that. 1 1/8, 1 1/8. And here, 2 inches, and you're going to be pretty darn close. So, once you get that done, then you can go ahead and bond it in. And you're probably going to have to clean up all down here, you know, just whatever you need to do to make it fit. And when you trim these, it's best to trim on the inside. Don't trim on the outside, trim on the inside. And make sure it goes in pretty easy. So that's all you need to do. And then when you bond it, it'll be a lot easier to get that in. Now, what do you do to prep this? You ready? You got everything ready to go. Everything's trimmed. Everything's ready to go in. How you prep it? Basically, you're going to need to clean this with isopropyl alcohol. 91% if you can is the best. Just a rag and alcohol. That's how I clean it. You got to get all this dust, all this grease, years and years and years of grease and dust off. And you got to clean it. It's got to be really clean, as best you can. And when you're done with that, get you some 40 grit. 60 grit will work, but 40 grit if you can get it. And you need to rough it up. Sand it this way, sand it this way. You know, do it around in a circle if you want. You want to get as much tooth on there as you can. In here, it's going to be a little bit of a process, but you've already been in there with your grinder, so you got a lot of that out. It's already almost ready to go. You just need to make sure you get all the dust and everything off of there, and you'll be good to go. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to clean this up, I'm going to scuff it up, and I'm going to install the bonding strip, and then we're going to go from there. Oh, also make sure you scuff your bonding strip up. You want to do, this is the rough side, you want the smooth side, and then you're going to rough it up as best you can. I mean, if you want to take a grinder to it, you can, flapper wheel, whatever, because you want as much of a rough surface as you can get. So I'm going to do that, and I'll be back. Okay, so the bonding strip is in. I just used clamps to put it in. Nothing fancy, just little clamps. Better than screws because they're easier to put out and take off. And I also use these shims. See this little shim here, it's plastic shim, or wooden, whatever, it doesn't matter. I put in here in the areas where I couldn't get the clamp into, on the side here, and so on. You just push them into whatever pressure you need, and there you go. Just don't push it in too far on here, because this, well, not now, but it's loose, and it'll push out pretty easy. So you don't want to do it too hard. And then I went ahead and ground down all the excess bonding adhesive. So just make it nice and flush here and give room for our panel here. And all you need to do is get it down to where your panel will fit. Nice and snug, and you won't have any clearance issues. You may need to trim this down a little bit more on the top and the bottom. But in general, just get it to fit. Do whatever you need to get it to fit. This little bonding strip here, I just used a little clamp on. That's all you need to do. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in. I'm going to use self-tapping screws for this. Go all the way around, pretty much. And I'll show you what it's like when it's done. Alright, there it is installed. I just want to make a couple points here. Just go ahead and scuff it up with 220 before you put it in. It'll help. It'll be a little easier before you paint it. Scuffing for painting too. And this is pretty much the spacing that you're going to need. Whatever it requires. This one stuck out a little bit more, so I put it back in. And also do a panel fit. Make sure it goes in okay. It shouldn't be a problem. Make sure that fits good there. And then put the other one in as well if you're going to use that. And that's how she goes. So there, you're good there. So I'm going to go ahead and prep it all the way around, clean it up a little bit. As you can see, this is ready to go, pretty much, ready for fiberglassing. I went ahead and sanded away the painted areas, and I filled in all the holes. And I'm going to go ahead and fiberglass this up and paint it up so you can see what it looks like when it's done. But this is basically what it needs to look like when you're ready to go. Alright, one little other thing I wanted to show you here is how to cut the fiberglass. Just make little, when you need to fill holes and so on and so forth, you need to make little fibers as opposed to long fibers because they'll tend to push out of the hole and so forth. It's just very simple. Just cut it with a pair of scissors, whatever length you want. Just like a 1/16, maybe even a little less than a 1/16 of an inch. And you're going to get some long fibers in there, which is fine. And then see if you just take them in you. And there you go. You got a bunch of little fibers, and see some of them will be, that's like little fuzzy. Those are like really small fibers. And you can come smaller than that. And just throw them directly into your resin, stir it around, and then put your catalyst in there. And you're ready to fill holes and so on and so forth. I'm going to show you now how to fill in these holes. You got to fill in the holes. You can fill them in with bonding adhesive if you want, but it's better to go ahead and fill them in with fiberglass. It's not too difficult. It doesn't take that long either, and it's actually pretty easy. There's your hole there, and I'm going to, just give me a second here, I'm going to show you, because I'm putting a hardener in that takes, I'm going to actually do it really, overfill it a little bit so it will cure fast. Because I don't like waiting for this stuff to cure. And there's a special way to do this. Because fiberglass fibers are too long, you got to cut them and mix it in with your resin. And it just makes, well, it makes kind of a little paste or a gel. You just take a popsicle stick and put it in. See that? See how it's just, I had a couple fibers in there, but you want to push it in there. And see how it doesn't run like it normally would? Because I have a lot of little fibers in there. I'll show you that in just a second here. You just fill it like that. It's not difficult. And I like to put like a little bit over the hole because it'll run down and fill in that hole. It might sag a little bit or run out of the hole before it cures. You may need to go back over it. It depends. This, I actually put this on tape. Piece of tape. See the fibers? Whoops, yeah, I lost some. See how it's almost fuzzy. I do a 1/16 of an inch or less. Just cut them with a pair of scissors. And see, you got some long fibers in there, you got some short ones. But that's what you want, and you put it right into your resin before you put your hardener in. I just put them in a little cup like this and mix it around with a popsicle stick. And go ahead and fill it in. And it works really well. It'll go pretty fast. So, and then you know you have a good fill with your resin. Now I want to explain just a little tip, which will help in your fiberglassing. It'll make it go a little faster and it'll lay a little bit better. These are hard edges here around here. You don't want hard edges when you're laying fiberglass. So you put that on there. You got that hard edge there, and it doesn't lay as well, and you can actually introduce air bubbles right along that edge, and it's harder to get out. And when you tear the fiberglass, you see here, you tear it right there. See how nice that is? It just put it against here like that. That actually allows it to feather in to surrounding fiberglass or the body or whatever you're putting it into. Now, normally you could just tear it and you're good to go, but it's really hard to tear a thin strip like this or a strip like this because it'll tear across here and so on and so forth. It's hard to do that. So, as you can see, I have a fork, and there's an easy way to get the edges to feather, and that is just hold your fiberglass and just take your fork and move it along and dig in and see how it's just taking out a little bit. It's not taking out a lot, but that breaks that edge. So when you break that edge, it allows it to feather a lot better. And you see this, all this extra fiberglass, don't throw that away. You can use that for fill and so on and so forth. Never throw your fiberglass away because you could always use it for something else. And then when you take this edge here, you do the same thing. This is actually 1.5 ounce. I had 3/4 on the previous one. This is 1.5. And when you lay it on there, it'll just feather right into the other, and it makes a real nice softer edge. So it's easier to sand that way. I mean, it's not a big deal, but it does make life a lot easier, especially if you're going around corners. You want to have it meld into each other. Just tear it. See if you tear it, and you put this on there. It just makes it a lot nicer. Alright, now I'm going to show you how to cut these out. It's not very hard at all. What you need to do is just take a pencil and just go along the perimeter here, all along here. That's the part you're going to cut out. This right here. That's what you're going to cut out. Now, once you do that, you're going to need to drill 2 holes. And this is going to be very helpful for you. It's a cutting bit from Dremel. It's a 56-1 or 561-01. And it looks like that. It's got a spiral cut to it. All you're going to do is just cut some holes here. And I'll show you how to cut this thing out. By the way, it's best to use a sacrificial piece of wood here, because you're going to be cutting through possibly, and you don't want to cut up your workbench. Okay, that's all you need to do. Now you flip it over, and get your old trusty angle grinder. Get the thinnest blade you can, because you don't need a big thick cut. And all you're going to do is you're going to cut from here all the way over to here, and from here all the way over to here. Very simple. And just remember, just go very steady and stable. Don't be in a rush. Start in the middle, like this. Start in the middle here, and just make your plunge cut, and then move from one side and the other side, and then do it this way. And make sure you don't have it upside down, because you can't really get a good angle here. Do it this way. So there you go. Very messy, nasty cut. Now, to cut from here to here, there to there, just use this, your Dremel tool, and it'll make quick work of it. You don't want to do it the whole way around, because it'll dull your blade faster, and as you saw, that was pretty quick. So just use this on the sides. Okay. Alright, now you look at it and you see, well, you know, I could cut more out if I wanted to, which I'm actually probably going to do. But at least now you know where you're at, so you can guide it a little bit better. I'm just actually going to cut that a little bit more. That's it. Yeah, I don't want to push it, so we'll just leave that amount. So there you go, a very rough cut. Now, how do you get rid of all that? Basically, you're just going to have to sand it down. Basically, just a little sander, and just go in there and sand it. Okay, that's actually that's not even in the, that's just a mark, but that'll buff out too. Okay, so if you look, let me show you real quick here. Alright, I'm not quite on the line yet. What you want to do, right there, that's where you want to pretty much get it. I like to leave just a little bit of that lip there, because it just makes it look better when you put it in. But there's a little bit of fiberglass right there. And I'm not going to do it now, but when you get it all the way down to where you want it, you just bevel that back, and you just go over here. I'll show you how to do it. And just bevel it back a little bit. you see, he's gotten rid of all that fiberglass there. And then you just take your 60 grit right here. You can just sand it down real quick. Pretty easy. Alright. Now actually, I would go back a little bit more. But I'm just showing you, this is how it's done. So you got your basic shape right there, and all you got to do is just sand it and take your time. But that's basically how you do it. And just go all the way around, take your time, and also make sure each one you do, make sure they're symmetrical. You know, make sure all this goes to the same areas. You know, make sure your corner, if it goes here, make sure it does that on all the others too. And it actually won't take you that long. Once you do the first one or two, it'll go a lot faster. Also, another thing, if you don't have one of these Dremel bits, you could just use a Dremel cutting wheel, just a little cutting wheel. That's why you don't cut the whole thing either, because if you do, you're going to eat through them. If you want to do that, that's fine. You're just going to eat through them faster. So that's how you cut those louvers out. I want to discuss how, when you put this in, put your louvers in, how you're going to get them to stay. Obviously, you got to screw them in there and bolt them down. And of course, you know, you have your two holes here. And what you do, you just get you some paint and a Q-tip and go right on up through, keep it at an angle like that, and mark your mounting strip up there. And then just like that. And then you've got your mark. Take it out and go ahead and drill it out. Make sure it's big, the hole's big enough for your screw to get through. This is a number 8 screw. And then you put your clip in. You should have your clip, because if you don't, the fiberglass could vibrate and wear the hole bigger, and your screw will drop out. That's the flat side. That's what you want down, flat side down, and you put it on. And then basically you just go ahead and screw it in. It's not a very difficult process. Now for this one, as you can see, I cut it out already. Same deal, but you don't have any holes in this one yet. The first one and the third one is where you want to put your holes. And you want to go from here, the plane right here, the edge, ½ inch down. From the edge, ½ inch down. Now it doesn't really matter where you put it in here, like from on this side or this side, wherever you want to put it. I just kind of like to have it in the middle, just because it's just more strength. But that's all you need to do. And just follow the same instructions. And just go up in there like that, go up in there like that, drill your holes, and then put your clips in. And that's how you put those in. Okay, so the bottom part, the mounting part here, if you don't have your factory bracket, then you need to use just a fender washer. Just the fender washer is included. And then bend it like that. Because the way this is designed, this actually comes down, this right here comes down below the plane. So you need to have it basically like that. It's a little bit of a makeshift way to do it, but I don't include the brackets because it just, you know, the price will go up and it's ridiculous. The price of them is ridiculous in my opinion. And an old timer told me how to just use a fender washer and it won't come out. Because once it's screwed in here, it's not going to come out. And another thing, on the bottom here, underneath, there's a little panel here you may need to just cut into. It's not hard to cut out, but there may not be enough room for you to get your socket up in there to cinch it down. There may be, it depends on your model, but you may just need to trim that a little bit. And also on this one, this here you can use just a flat, the washer the way it comes, because I designed it to where it doesn't go below the plane of this, so it'll just cinch right up and you don't have to worry about it. It's all done, and as you can see, I have the 70 to 72 louver in, And within minutes, you can change over with a 68-69 louver in.